They call it drunk in love. You're not even thinking straight. You're not making logical decisions anymore because you are just so infatuated with this person, with the essence, the smell, the way they talk to me, the way they make me feel, that you aren't making the right decisions. And if in that state you make a permanent decision off of temporary feelings, then you've done yourself and everybody that's going to be affected by it a disservice. What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Today for Tomorrow podcast. So great to have all you guys with us. By the way, before we go ahead and roll into this, I did want to go ahead and mention we're all wearing the same shirt. Oh my gosh, how did this happen? What in the world?
America.
That is
did we
wild.
call each other? Or?
I mean, did y'all talk?
No, we didn't talk.
Well, shoot, I got this from a really cool dude, and I think Mike.
Yeah. So this is an idea that I've been thinking about for years, and we just brought it to fruition. And one of our main taglines for the Streetwear Apparel line is rebuilding Detroit one house at a time. And the reason why it's important is because that statement represents more than just like a house being brick and mortar. When we think about a house, we think about the families are inside they make them homes. We think about the mentoring that we do with the schools. We think about the Men 2.0. And so I wanted to create a uniform and an apparel line for us, people that are like-minded, and we all are part of the same movement. And I said, you know what, we need something that represents us. And so the good brothers, you know, they out doing some modeling right now, and you know, check it out. If you guys want to be a part of it, we got a link in the bio description.
Thank you for that. It's right in the line with you know everything that we do, everything we represent, and everything, you know, the whole story. So, thank you for bringing us into
Appreciate it. The shirt fits good.
Shirt fits good, feels good.
Feels good. Nice taper look, good quality.
I wanted to talk about something that has kind of been really pressing on my mind, and to talk about it, I want to go back to a Bible story.
Okay.
In Judges, there's a guy named Samson. If you guys haven't read the story or went to a children's church, there's a guy named Samson, and he was extremely strong. This was a man who could take down hundreds of men. He could take the jawbone of an animal and kill a whole bunch of people, okay? Like he took down a lion bare hands. I mean, this was the epitome of strength. Now, he had a calling on his life to be the judge, which was like the leader of the Israelite people, God's people. He was called to lead God's people, and with his extreme strength, and he was supposed to lead them forward into the future and be completely obedient to what God was telling him to do. Here's the thing, though. He was a man who he was going to fall in love. And my man, he's a ladies man, right? And when he was in love, he fell hard. And it got to the point where he was with a lady. If you don't know, her name was Delilah. And I know y'all got some Delilahs in your life, okay? He was with a lady named Delilah. And this lady, it would almost seem like she was blatantly trying to take him down. Now, very important point of this situation was, like, she wasn't from the same area that he was from. Like, Israelite people, they've got a certain belief. They serve one God, the one true God. She ain't from all that. Look, like that wasn't a part of her culture. She didn't go to children's church. They wasn't telling her that kind of story. And so she had a different belief system, and she came from a different group of people who also did not care about all that other stuff. And so she was quite blatantly doing things to try to figure out the source of his power, which was God, right? Mm-hmm. But it was connected to a certain thing, because, you know, the way that God works is he wants you to be obedient. And if you are obedient, then you stay with the anointing, okay? Once you step out of that obedience, then that's the thing when things get a little shaky for you. And so she was trying to figure out the source of his power so that she can actually take him down. And now he's so in love. He's like, okay, well, I ain't going to tell you that, but, you know, so we're going to keep rocking. I'm going to tell you this over here. We can get around it. And then strike one, strike two, strike three. He actually told her the truth, and that truth got him and everybody else killed.
Yeah, it's
Man, you summed it up well, but go read it for yourself. I think
Go read it, please.
What, Judge, 15, 16, I think?
Yes, 15, 16, definitely go read the full story. But that subject is something that I wanted to talk about because, like, right now I'm dating. And so, you know, the way I think about the whole dating process is it is an evaluation for marriage, right? You want to be making the right decisions. You talked about it before. You know, you want to buy right, right? And so a part of that buying right is you have to be able to think straight to buy right. Now, I've come in contact with a whole bunch of dudes. I mean, I'm a friend of mine. He's his whole story, mentality, his whole situation changed because he was so in love with this one girl who was not in love the same way with him. The point that I want to get at is it's almost like an emotional intoxication. It's like you're just they call it drunk in love, where you're not even thinking straight. You're not making logical decisions anymore because you are just so infatuated with this person, with the essence, the smell, the way they talk to me, the way they make me feel, that you aren't making the right decisions. And if in that state you make a permanent decision off of temporary feelings, then you've done yourself and everybody that's going to be affected by it a disservice.
Samson had another female he fell for.
That's right.
You know, years before that, and he still kind of kept that pattern going. And I was thinking about myself, you know, I remember high school, I think we started dating, I was a junior in high school, I was all in. You know,
all in.
All in. She wasn't my first girlfriend, nothing like that, but still, I was all in. So we dated into college life or whatever, too. But, you know, and my boy, you know, when your partner's kind of like trying to tell you something, they can't tell you something. You know, and they did one part wasn't feeling her and all that. And I just always wondered why. But later on, they'll find out she's out doing her thing. Look, I wasn't faithful either. But the point, though, is that, you know, I was call myself being crazy about her. Yeah, man, you know, I'm heartbroken, all that. And you know, you do that whole thing, you know, wait for the phone to ring, all this stuff, you know. It wasn't no texting back then. You know, you had to be by a phone to get a call, you know what I'm saying? So if you was out the crib, you didn't get the call.
Oh, man.
You know, you drive by the house, sees the light on, you know, at their house and all this stuff.
You were home.
It was all this craziness, you know. So when you talk about the intoxication, emotional intoxication, so I was like caught up. And then finally, you know, some things came down. I was like, look, I ain't dealing with this. But it was hard. I mean, I was like, you know, I remember being in the basement. And I was down for, I don't know, let's say about a week mentally, you know.
Yeah.
But the point, though, is that I was all caught up. And she was the worst person. Looking back, it didn't take me long to realize that she was a hindrance.
I think, so this is a good topic because I don't know anybody that goes through life and does not experience this, right? At least once or twice or 7, 8, 9.
Yeah, okay.
This is the thing. When I was young, the OGs I used to be around, they used to say, listen, man, the worst, most addictive drug known to mankind is, you know, the power of the women. I said, that's a good way. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
Yeah, you know. And so
yeah, no sign language.
You gotta be very careful because you can't go through these moments or get wrapped up in these interactions, and it can't feel like you're drunk almost because you're not thinking clear. Mm-hmm. You're not thinking clear. And it goes the same for the sisters. They get caught up, you know. So any of the sisters watching, not excluding y'all either. You know, we talking to the brothers, but we really talking to everybody. The whole thing is you have to, like you said, Martell, you have to be able to clarify your thoughts, clarify your mind, and you have to be able to discern, you know, what's your end goal. Mm-hmm. If you're at the point where, you know, you're dating for a marriage, yeah, that evaluation is a little bit different than, you know, high school love. We call it puppy love, or, you know, that little, you know, stuff like that. That's all good. You want to get your heart broken a couple times, cool. It's part of the process. But once you get to a certain point in life and maturity-wise, and you're looking down the road saying, listen, I want to date with intentions of reaching this goal of marriage, that's when, to me, things kind of, it gets a lot more serious. I mean, it should still be fun though. Still enjoy yourself, but at the same time, you're looking at things a lot. Like people used to always say, people say, not necessarily white. People say, some of the things you look for in your girlfriend, or in other people's case, your girlfriends. You know what I'm saying? Not Mike, but other people.
Other people. Okay, if he didn't tell you already,
that might not be what the same qualities that you're looking for in a wife. Mm-hmm. You know, some of them interlap, but the point I'm trying to make is, depending on what your end goal is, that's when you have to make sure that you're basing, each step to realize that.
No, I think, I hear what you're saying, because this time a little about the word intoxication.
Yep.
Okay. So let's do a comparison. Well, when you drink or whatever, I mean, weed, weed still, it's legal in some places. You get high, you are not in your right mind. Mm-hmm. You have an altered mental state, and you will do things that will not necessarily be done correctly because you just not mentally there, physically can't do certain things. Emotionally, it's the same thing in these relationships. And to your point, you kind of laid it out. It's like, you having a good time, you enjoying that good time with that person, you enjoying what they bring to the table, whatever relationship you got. But what you're doing that is not good for you. Like alcohol, drink too much alcohol gonna kill your liver at some point, right? Smoking too much probably gonna mess with your lungs. It might feel good, but if it's something that's done in excess in the wrong way and it alters your state, it will hurt you.
Yeah.
And the same thing with relationships. If you're in a wrong relationship, even though it might feel good and you like it, and then like I talked about old girl also, if I would marry her, and don't get me wrong, she's not a bad person. But for me, we wouldn't be together. It wouldn't have lasted because we weren't striving for the same things. She was doing some things that I look at now, I wouldn't be able to deal with, period.
I think an important, there's a few important points in what you just said. I mean, think about it like, so if anybody's ever been auditioning for a role, like say you wanted to act in some sort of play or a movie or something, what they do, typically how the process works is there's the director, the writer, and they are the ones that are hosting the auditions. The people come in, the actors come in to, they read their script that is to be a character in this particular movie. And so as the writer and the director, they're sitting there behind the table and they're evaluating whether the character that they wrote into this story would be right for this particular film. Like, is this person right for this character? And so in this evaluation process, it's not necessarily like, okay, this is a terrible actor, right? You could be an amazing actor, but you might not be the right fit for this role, right? There's a particular character that's supposed to play this role here. And so if the actors come in, you might have, a whole bunch of people that audition for it, but some person sticks out more than anybody else. You might have had 20 amazing actors in it, but one of them is the exact character that fits the role in the story that you're trying to tell. So now tying it in a relationship, when you're talking about the end here, if I'm thinking about the household that I want to have, the household that I want to lead, if I'm thinking about the kids that I want to raise, what kind of environment I want them to be in, and how this whole thing in terms of my life, I'm planning on having it play out. If this person, they might be awesome. Like you said, they might be a great person. If they don't fit this role, then that story won't play out. And so I'm not saying like there's nothing, I don't think there's anything wrong with the emotions that come in the beginning. Because I mean, obviously if it jump on you, it jump on you. Like, let's be real.
Just being real. Mm-hmm. It is an emotional aspect. You fall in love with what you fall in love with. You know what I'm saying? And there's an analytical aspect to this evaluation, but there is a real love aspect where it's like, you know what? That's my person. Why is that your person? Because I feel it. I know it. I just feel it in my heart. Like, And that's where you have to assess your risk tolerance level. Like, how much do you lean on, the heart versus the analytical? Because if you're too, you're overly leveraged on any side, I don't know, and just me personally, I don't know if that's the right recipe either. Because if it's too analytical, where's the heart aspect?
So here, I'm glad you go on there, because I think we got to define what type of love somebody's looking for, right? And so you got, to your point, you can look at love in an analytical way, you can look at it in a feeling way. But in reality, if we take the word and you say, okay, define love by what God defined love to be, and have that type of love definition, then we looking for a certain type of love, and we giving a certain type of love. And love is really, I think we talked about this one time before, it's not a feeling, it's really you make a choice. Yeah, you make a choice. And what you do, you see different things in people you like, that you're attracted to, that draw you to them. But that love aspect of it, sometimes we'll get confused with that lust aspect, because, and you ain't gotta say nothing, but I know, like me, it start with the eyes. Like when I met Sherry, I'm like, I like the way she looked. She looked good to me. It was like,
he was in the garden. She said it was pleasant.
Yeah. So, man, she still looked good to me. But the point, though, is that love part of it was it came, it felt like, oh, I'm in love. But then in reality, it was an action that, hey, oh, no, I love this person.
Yeah. One other thing I wanted to say about this, too, because you're absolutely right. Like, love is a decision. This is the thing, though, like in today's, and I always say I was blessed that, I found my person early. I was young, dumb, stupid. She loved me through it all. And that's why I love her so much, And the thing is, the older you get, the more information you get, the more business acumen you get. I hear a lot of people saying like, well, marriage is a business, which, to be honest, it kind of is. It can be. And we know statistically over 50% of marriages do not work out. And a lot of people go into it business with a business mind. Like, all right, they need to check this box, check this box. Only thing I say is you got to be careful with that, is because if it's just more business, in my opinion, I think it runs the risk of being handled when things go wrong as a business. Because, like, people got prenups, or, okay, this is not going, you know what? Oh, they took the bank account, they out. Because, you know what I'm saying?
The P&L statement on this relationship, it ain't looking right.
Some people have, seriously, because when you see how, unfortunately, when you see how some of these divorces are taking place, it was handled like business, and business can be cutthroat. You know what I'm saying? To me, I'm like, dang, did y'all love each other at one point? It's like, hey, love and war, man. It's a thin line. What they say? It's a thin line between love and hate.
There's what I don't want anybody to think is that we are completely dismissing the fact that people have emotions, that you feel something. Because there is that phase. Like, there is that phase where it's like, man, it's a school night. And we up till 3 a.m. still on the phone. Like, we both know we got to get up in the morning. Like, there is that phase. And I think that's natural. That's a natural thing to have. Not saying that you should, like, oh, man, if you feel like you got to get rid of. No, that's not what it is. What I'm saying is, in that state, you are not thinking straight. So if that is all what you are basing everything off of, is how you feel in that situation, then you need to stop and reevaluate. Because the thing is, that is not going to last forever. Y'all married. Mm-hmm. Are you still, I'm sure the love continues to grow and you get closer and closer to the person, but the feelings that you had on day one, where it's just like, I can't do nothing, but if I ain't with you, does that stay there forever?
No, in some ways it evolves, right? And I heard something last night just to say, and actually it was good. So this lady was talking about her and her husband, and she said that she pretty much is married. She's had 4 different husbands through her whole marriage. Gotcha. Same man.
Yeah.
But 4 different husbands. Yeah. And, happily married and all that, I thought about it. Me and Sherry looked at each other like, yeah, that's true. Because to your point, what you just said, when we first got married, we were two different people. You know what I mean? And then as different things happen in life, you evolve. So we nothing like we were back then. To me, I don't look at her the same way. I mean, I look at her with love, I desire and everything, but how I looked at her when we first got married is different now. And going back to kind of what Mike was saying too, it's like he was talking, the balance between the two, how you analytically and feelings and all that.
Yeah.
It's important to know you got somebody you can build with.
Yeah.
And grow with.
And so I think I literally, the reason that I'm at this point, at this stage in my life, is because I literally had this situation where there was one person where it was like, business-wise, this would be an amazing decision. Well, we could go take over the world. Me and this person, I know that P&L statement is going to be phenomenal between me and this person. But I don't, the stuff that isn't in numbers, I don't feel that with this person, you know? And because it was like that, the next step always was like, oh, I don't think that makes sense to do, because I feel like we would be going into something that I'm not all the way in on, because I don't feel that way about you. And so, although everything on the surface, like in terms, power couple, we'd be able to do this, this, and this, but it's like when I get home and it's just me and you, right? I'm sure we can have a conversation. It'd be cool or whatever. Outside, everybody would see us in a certain light. But when I get home and I roll over and I look at you, I don't think I like being there. And that's the thing.
Yeah, it's kind of like, just to piggyback off of what Rodney was saying, where, love evolves over the years. You have seasons, because, like, for example, with my wife, I mean, we were young, man, like, before kids and everything. Yeah, we totally look at life different. We have businesses that are different. Everything is different. But what's important is we knew the caliber of character that each other had. Like when the kitchen got hot, is this the type of person that's jumping out the window and closing it behind her? So, because real, and the crazy thing is, it's real. Trust me, like, I just had a conversation with somebody, and they going through a challenging time right now, and when those bullets start flying and danger is in the air, that's when you go back to your training. Like we talking about, how have you been trained? What's your true character? Because you don't have time to think. It's real things going on, and that's where it hurts my heart when I see people in these situations, and it's like, man, the love was so real, or even the business, man, we did great on this, but when this happened, man, she completely, I saw somebody different, or he completely abandoned us. It's like, because what I'm like, I can't say that's a character thing. And to be honest, you can't really change a person's character. Now, you can make adjustments to, how they dress, what they drive. They need to be a little bit more organized. All of that is surface stuff. To me, I encourage people to look past that type of stuff. That can be adjusted. Are they coachable? Do they take feedback? But when you talk about deep-rooted character issues, that's who you are.
Well, even what your book, and I think you hit it right on here too. But even belief systems, because I guilty pleasure. I watched a show called Ready for Love. Nephew Tommy, hosted all and all that.
Is it a radio show?
No. It's a TV show. It's a dating show. They get they get 10 black women, 10 black men, and they intermingle and find out who's matching and who's ready for. And I like the way they handle the show because it ain't really messy. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, okay.
So, but the point, is that, they go down this road and they try to figure out these things we talking about, in a short period of time, like who they connect with, who they don't. So they had this cat, he on there, and he's sitting down, he got these two sisters, and they talking to his ex. That's one of the things they had to do. And so the ex was like, he's into free energy, and he's spiritual.
Stop.
And yeah,
And
she said, the ex said to the other two girls, "Hey, let me pull. Why don't you guys pull a tarot card, and I could tell you what it says." And the one sister was like, "Oh, I ain't doing that." She's like, "Look, I'm a Christian." She's like, "Look, that's pagan. That's satanic." She just broke it down. And the other sister, to her credit, was like, "No, I roll with Jesus." The point I'm getting at, they found out that this guy didn't believe what they believe, and it became, and that's a foundational. So those are foundational things that you gotta understand. What are your foundational things?
Yeah.
And if the foundational things ain't there, then you gotta be like, okay, to your point. Oh, wait a minute, we not coming from the same place.
Samson.
Going back to that emotional intoxication tagline though, title, is because we have to think about that, because when you're in that feeling, you're not necessarily looking at foundational things. You're looking at, the experience that's going on is so blissful, and we love being around each other. We can't not be around each other, but it's like, you gotta let that wear off and then get back to, okay, long term, how does this look? And to me, I'm a firm believer in having those conversations. Like, one thing my wife and I, we used to talk about early is just like our childhood, our upbringing, how different things impacted us. We had a lot of great experience, but we had some things that we wanted to adjust for our kids, and at the time it wasn't our kids like me or hers. It was just, but we were thinking, and because I wanted to know, how do you think? And when people came later, I would have some of my friends, I'd be like, "Man, I love the way you and your wife, interact. She got a good disposition. Y'all how did you get her like that?" And the first thing I would say is, I would have to correct her, like, "Listen, bro, I can't take the credit for getting her. Like, she came as she was. This is who she is, but we work to make sure that we're accommodating each other." Now, we've made adjustments where we might have said, "Hey, I like when you do this, or can you not do that?" And she's done the same for me. But foundationally, I just listen to who she really was, because you ain't changing nobody's foundational beliefs. You're not going to do it.
I think it was, shoot, that is what the point that you made when you started was like, okay, you in that phase where you are emotionally intoxicated. Get out of that before you start making those lifelong decisions. I always, when I hear about the people who like met somebody yesterday, they got married today, and it was like, wait a minute, hold up, because it's like I know. There's so many times, like I don't know everybody's personal situation, how much background is in it, but when the first thing that I'm thinking is like, do you know them? Like, do you know them enough? Like, do you at least know them enough to know that this is a good decision to make, or are you just so wrapped up in the emotions that you feel around this person that you decided, well, shoot, let's just go for it? I've had a conversation with a guy recently, and he was all in. He was all in for this lady. But just like you said, you see the stuff with this other person. You stay around a person long enough, you notice some things. But because the emotions were so strong, he was very much consciously deciding to ignore the red flags. They say, hey, if you collecting red flags, you need to start actually doing something about it. He was very consciously collecting all of the red flags, but decided he was going to put them in a box, shoot them to the side, and then propose. Now, it did not end up playing out. But the thing is, when he would talk about it, he knew there was issues. It's not like he didn't see it. He knew all the issues were there, and he knew that it was not going to work out long term.
That's what it is. You don't think straight. And I know we get into the part where we'll close this out a little bit, but that's the whole thing, that intoxication piece.
Yeah. I do want to say, I gotta throw a little wrench in, because that's what I do.
Throw it.
But it's two things though. Before I say this, going back to what we said in previous podcasts, where you have people things and you got process things. Because what I'm about to say is, so for example, this is real life example. My paternal grandmother and grandfather, he met her, and in 2 weeks they were married. He came from Canada. She was in New York at the time. Literally, he met her. He had a conversation. Because I said, man, tell me this story, grandma. She said, look, you going to be my wife. And she didn't believe him. She came back to Detroit. He followed her. 2 weeks, they was married.
My grandma and grandpa. Literally, the same thing.
They stayed married for 49 years until the day that he passed. That is a rare situation in today's. So it can't happen, because I know some people are like, well, my auntie Linda, it can't happen. It can't happen. But that's we would be very cautious with that, because that's not necessarily a good rule of thumb, but it can happen.
And and I don't know, situations are different. I can think about marriages in my own family that started in that era. The mindset was different about marriage. And sometimes, things we're talking about, it might not have been a harmonious marriage in every aspect. They might not have grown together, but people took their role. They said, this is the role of a husband, this is the role of a wife. And those people was hitting those roles. They stayed in that marriage because this is a good man, this is a good woman. We're supposed to stay together. You know what I'm saying?
So this is something I heard. Okay, it's probably somewhere on social media, but it really caught my ear. And somebody was asking an older couple, I think they had been married for like 50 years or so, tell me your secret. How did you guys overcome? Because like you said, we know you've had challenges. 50 years, like we know you've had some significant challenges. Even with my grandmother, like they lost a child. Like it was so much that they had to overcome. And what this couple said was, we come from an era, when something's broke, we work on it and we fix it. We repair it. We don't throw it away and just move on to the next. And to me, that statement kind of is a illustration of what's wrong in today's society with when we're talking about marriage. Most people, they look at things, and the first sign of unhappiness, the first sign of, oh, this doesn't look the way I thought it was, people are jumping shit. They're not persevering and saying, you know what, you're my person. We made a commitment. We took vows. We got to figure this out. And in the past, it was a bunch of stuff going on that they worked through.
They say, there's the verse about a friend is made for a time of adversity. You don't know a person until you've gone through something. Yeah. That's just the reality. So if you haven't even waited long enough, you haven't been patient enough to actually see the person for who they really are, then you're automatically making an uncalculated decision. Okay, that's what we're saying here. Because it's like you don't know that person well enough to know that they're gonna be X, Y, and Z down the road, or that this thing is gonna work, or that as soon as something, like you were just talking about, as soon as something goes sideways, they are ready to jump ship on you. You don't know that, and so I'm like, from my standpoint of this whole situation is like, let's at least consciously make the right decision for you as a person. But yeah, no, there's that other point. I think as a believer, like, that's the assumption here, right? That, if you are a believer, if you are a man, if you're a woman, but particularly because I know we talk to a lot of fellas here, but if you are a man and you are a believer and you are not taking the time to make the conscious decision about who you're being with, then you are irresponsible.
And somebody's gonna get hurt.
Somebody's gonna get hurt. And it's gonna be you, them, and all the kids, the family, the friends. Destruction is coming if you are doing that.
As a man and as a believer, I think it is 100,000% absolutely irresponsible to be in that state of emotional intoxication and make a parenting decision.
It's the truth. In fact, and I think people, to your point, need to check themselves and make sure they're not emotionally intoxicated, that they're not intoxicated by a relationship.
Who's leading you? Like, is the Holy Spirit leading you, or is your emotions about this person leading you?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not both. It can't be.
Don't be drunk on love.
Hearts and minds.
Clear.
Cool. Well, hey, look, we mentioned it in the beginning. Definitely information is in the description right now. Definitely check it out. Rebuild Detroit one house at a time. My man Mike, he's leading this charge. You definitely want to be a part of it because it's outstanding and he's doing the work. So this ain't no like just fluffy stuff where it's like he's saying one thing and then something else is happening. This is a real one.
Right investment.
This is our movement, so that's really important. That it represents anybody that's pouring back into Detroit, the people. It represents us, so it's not just even a mic thing. It's really like all of us.
Definitely want to be a part of it. And so another thing too, we have Men 2.0. Rodney, you want to talk about it a little bit?
Hey, Man 2.0, come out second Saturday of the month. Come out, join us. Actually, we are in Ferndale right now, but stay tuned because we will be changing locations in Southfield. That's the second Saturday every month, 10 to 12. Put it on your calendar. You will see the information. Follow us on Instagram. You will see the information there as well.
Cool. With that, thanks for being here. If you haven't already, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. And if you like this episode, you're going to love the one on your screen. And we'll see you there. Peace.